Hi Reynas, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, my name is Vijayreyna, and if you want to join the Reyna family, hit the subscribe button. We need to get to business. Usually I have my introduction laid out and I say who I am. I will introduce myself more at the end of the video, but we need to talk. If you guys know me, if you follow me, if you watch my channel, you typically know I'm very demure, very mindful, very thoughtful, very classy. I like to keep it nice and simple, okay? I don't like to do too much. I don't like to be too much. I don't like to be mean or rude, but Miss Charm, I can't even sit for this video because I'm so perplexed about what happened during that show. Where do we begin? And as always, this is my nose ring, not a booger, okay? Okay, first and foremost, I thought there could not be a show worse than Miss Universe this year in 2024. I'm not gonna lie. I thought Miss Universe is definitely taking the cake for the worst show of the year, no offense. And just the entire production was a mess for Miss Universe, but that's a different topic. We're here talking about Miss Charm. So when Miss Charm happened with the preliminaries, I thought, okay, the production value is all right. Man, did the production go to the depths of the nether regions, okay, the nether realms during this edition of Miss Charm 2024. It was a horrendous mess. So let's start off. First of all, the top 20 got called. So top 20 ended up being Germany, New Zealand, Puerto Rico, Indonesia, Nigeria, Malaysia, South Africa, Mexico, Colombia, Russia, Philippines, El Salvador, USA, Thailand, Ecuador, India, Australia, Namibia, Venezuela, and Vietnam. Okay, with that top 20, I was like, it's fine. Maybe there were one or two girls that we were missing, but that happens in every pageant, no big deal. I was like, we're off to a good start, you guys. We have a diverse batch of girls, and I feel like this is pretty fair based on the preliminary performances. We don't see closer interview, so, you know, there's going to be things here or there that we don't get to take into account, but overall, it made sense. So the people that I had predicted on my top 10 were, I thought it was going to be Puerto Rico, Colombia, USA, Australia, Thailand, Ecuador, Namibia, Philippines, India, and Russia. That was my top 10 prediction. And of course, as always, not everyone's predictions is usually going to be 100% accurate. Boy, was mine not 100% accurate. They put in the top 10 Indonesia.
Nani?
And this is where I already had a weird feeling. Okay, I love my Indonesians. I love the Miss Indonesias. You guys have been doing a really great job this year in pageantry. But, are we watching the same show? Because at the end of the day, there's going to be 2 or 3 girls on this list in the top 10 that probably are like a wild card. Then they go on to announce Malaysia, I think. And I was like, okay, great. Malaysia, fine. Then they went on to say Colombia. Awesome. She did a really amazing to me, so I was happy. India, great. Germany. Now, let me preface by saying, going any further, before I go any further, let me preface this by saying that nothing of what I'm saying is an attack on the girl themselves, but who picked Germany? Who picked Germany over Puerto Rico, over Philippines, over USA? Hello? Judges, wake up. Wake up. Okay, so when I had Indonesia and Germany this early on being announced, I was like, oh, girl. Okay, so we don't know what we're doing on the judging panel, but okay. All right. Then moved on to Namibia. Okay, great. Australia, she did well, made sense. Ecuador, okay, great. Mexico, okay. I was okay with it. I didn't see it for her, to be honest, based off the swimsuit performance. I was like, I don't know, but whatever. Like, fine. Nigeria. Okay, I also didn't have Nigeria on my list. I was okay with it, but I'm so sorry. There's no way you're gonna tell me that Indonesia or Germany outperformed Puerto Rico or even Philippines. So let's just get into it. You guys know my motto. I don't call pageants cooking shows very easily because a lot of times people shout cooking show, cooking show, cooking show as soon as their country doesn't place. As soon as their country doesn't place, especially if they're a satisfied country, they're like cooking show, cooking show, cooking show. You know what I'm saying? And I'm Indian. So if every time India did not place at a pageant, if I shouted cooking show, we would be cooking a lot. there would be a lot of cooking. There would be no pageant that's not a cooking show. So I think a lot of country folk, just people's countrymen, just like to shout cooking show whenever they don't go as far as they feel they should and their feelings are hurt because they feel entitled to a higher position because they're a Satch Factor country. And so a lot of times I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's not a cooking show. You're just upset that your country didn't place, right? It's not a cooking show automatically if your country doesn't place. However, I started to smell something cooking. Something felt like this show was a little bit weird. And I'm specifically when it came to Indonesia. Now, she's a beautiful girl, don't get me wrong. I have nothing personal against her herself, okay? It's not her. But something felt like, what is that? Okay, right. So I have nothing wrong with Indonesia making top 10 and Germany making top 10. I have a problem with them making top 10 over Puerto Rico or Philippines or USA. I think any of those three ladies would have been exceptionally more qualified for the top 10 placement. But that is just my humble opinion. You don't have to agree with it. And it's not an attack on the ladies. So don't go on their Instagrams and start attacking them, okay? Just if you want to talk about the organization itself, fine, but we don't need to attack the specific candidates. Okay, so moving forward, then they went into their evening gown. First and foremost, oh my God. So Colombia slipped, I think, during her entry and then just walked off. And I literally thought she was walking off to the airport and going back to Colombia and being like, I'm not doing this. I thought she was upset. I was worried. It's like, oh my God, is she like upset? She's not going to perform anymore. Don't worry, you guys. Ended up being okay. She came back on stage, thank God, because she's a stunning queen. And I was really happy to see she came back. She seemed okay. But for a moment there, I was like, girl, like, oh my God. After that, we had who came else? I think so. Indonesia came in the silver gown. I liked Indonesia's gown. I don't know about the hairstyling. The performance was okay. Again, I didn't really see her in the top 10. And then when she was in the top 10, I furthermore felt like, okay, she's not showing me maybe necessarily why she should move forward or why she's here, if that makes sense. Malaysia came on stage, thank God and thank goodness she changed her evening gown. No disrespect at all, but I don't know. It felt like whatever she was wearing was like a national costume you'd wear at Miss Earth for preliminaries. So when she came out in a different gown, I was very pleased to see so. She looked stunning with her straight hair and her beautiful brown skin. I would have liked to see a different color dress on her because I think given her more darker skin tone, she could have had something that was a little bit more vibrant. I think white would have looked incredible on her. Okay, Colombia came out later, but she looked, when she did come out, she wore her prelims dress. So it seems to me that when she fell coming in, she ended up like running backstage perhaps and being like, get this off of me, which I get it. I'm pretty sure she was like, no, hell no. I'm slipping before I even get to take 2 steps, change the dress now. So I don't blame her. Also, I don't know who mopped the floor before this competition. Why was everyone slipping during preliminaries? And even Colombia and even India during evening gown had a little bit of a slip as well. And I'm like, bro, like, I don't know who is in charge of, like the maintenance of the stages, but you guys need to do something. Did you guys shine the stage like right before the girls went on? I'm confused. Why is everyone falling? Then moving forward from that, we had Germany come in. I liked Germany's preliminary gown a lot more than I liked her finale's gown. I'll leave it there. Namibia looked beautiful. I also preferred her preliminary gown over her finale's gown, but she still looked gorgeous. Australia came out. She performed really well, but she performed better at preliminaries. For a lot of these girls, almost like half of these girls or more, I actually prefer their preliminary dress. And that's a thing a lot of girls sometimes tend to do is I think they're guided or misdirected to wear the better dress during prelims or something, because I've seen countless numbers of times where the prelim dress is by miles much more beautiful, much more easier to perform in, or the girl is more comfortable in performing in it, and yet they use it for prelims instead of the finales. Maybe it's just because they're worried they're not guaranteed a finale position. I don't know. I don't mind a girl re-wearing the same dress for preliminaries and finales if they can rock it. Like, look at Colombia. She switched back to her preliminary dress. Goddess. Yeah, on my score sheet, she has the highest score for evening gown. So then we had Ecuador, stunning. I was like, wow.
she's for sure moving on to the top 6. There's no way they're not going to let Ecuador not move on. Ecuador is for sure going into the top 6.
That was my thoughts when I saw her. I'm like, there's no way she's not gonna move on. So, anyways, after Ecuador, I don't know the order, guys. I'm just saying it based off the list. I had Mexico. So Mexico actually did pretty well. And I thought Mexico potentially could move forward. She was on the, I wasn't sure, but I said to myself, if she does, I think it's fine. Nigeria came out in this really pretty white dress. So then my top 6, oh yeah, India. So India had a little bit of a stumble. Again, I don't really mind that she had a stumble because I think she recovered really well. I was impressed by India. I wasn't sure if the stumble was going to knock her off. So personally, I had her as someone that I thought could go on to the top 6, but I wasn't sure how harsh Miss Charm is. So I was like, maybe she's not going to move on to the top 6. I don't know, but she looked beautiful. I also preferred her preliminary dress though. Okay, so top 6 predictions were Colombia, Ecuador, Mexico, Namibia, Malaysia, and Nigeria. So I did not put India only because I was not sure whether or not they are going to knock her for the trip. But if I did put in, if I did have to put India, I would replace her with Nigeria. Sorry, I would replace Nigeria with India rather. So that's who I would replace out of the list that I have. So I was live streaming, okay, and my Reynas that were on my live stream let me know and informed me that, hey, the fan votes are going to decide one of the top 6 positions. So you have a top 5, which is standard for every pageant, and then you have one fan vote. I'm over here thinking, okay, the fan votes are going to be out of the top 10, whoever had the highest vote. That's what I'm thinking, right? So I'm like, okay, it's going to be Indonesia then, because Indonesians are really good at voting for their queens. The Vietnamese, the Indonesians are pretty good at voting for their queens. I didn't know that they had a bed backstage ready and made for Miss Vietnam to take a nap. And they're like,
sweetie, go ahead and sleep, okay? And then we'll call you when it's your turn to come out.
Because out of nowhere, let me tell you, I can be okay with fan vote for top 20. Okay? Automatic top 20 fan vote. That to me is where we need to stop the fan vote. It needs to stop, full stop right there. Top 20, you're in, fan vote, congratulations. Because there's still 19 spots, not a big deal, whatever. Anyways, at least 2, 3, or even sometimes 4 girls that we don't have, most of us don't see in the top 20 make it because of interview. So, you know what? If one goes to fan vote, whatever. I mean, at that point, just make it a top 21, to be honest, so the judges can pick 20. But whatever, fine, fan vote. Cool. For top 20. Vietnam wasn't in the top 10. And she got one of the lowest 5. She got the bottom 5 scores of my personal scoring during swimsuit. I put her in my bottom 5 scoring. She got a 6 out of 10. The only people who got below Vietnam in my scoring for the swimsuit competition was Indonesia and Germany. So if you were going to Miss Charm, give Miss Vietnam the fan vote, you might as well have not either called Indonesia or Germany and replaced them with Vietnam and let Vietnam be in the top 10 at least. If you're going to cook a show, when you follow a recipe, there's a reason why they have certain steps and certain orders. So when you're cooking, you got to make sure that you cook in the right order, Miss Charm.
So maybe next time, if you want Vietnam to be streamlined to the top 6, you can go ahead and put her in the top 10 first.
Out of nowhere, I'm thinking, okay, one of the fan votes, it's going to be Indonesia. It's going to be Indonesia. They always put her through. It's going to be Indonesia. Out of nowhere, like a sibling who sneaks into your room when you're away to steal your phone charger. Like a ghost in the dark. Okay? Like a villain in a telenovela. Miss Vietnam gets called and she walks in, right? She literally walks up. Looks to her right. Looks to her left. Scans the room. looks at all these top 10 ladies who just had to, I mean, you had India trip, you had Colombia fall, you know, all these ladies who have to take their sweet time on the evening gown round. They're thinking that, you know, their hard work during evening gown is going to be paid off. She looks at all them as she's announced top 6, even though she didn't even go in the top 10 to perform. And she's like, Sin Chow.
Hey. Oh my God, what is that? Hey. Oh my God, what is that? How y'all doing?
I have never in my years of watching pageantry seen something so wild. I mean, it's going to take something insane to top this type of level of cooking, okay? They literally called Vietnam. They literally said, go ahead, sweetie, take a nap backstage, okay? We'll call you when it's your turn. Don't worry, you're in top 6. Don't even cry. Don't even cry. Bro, I don't know. Maybe I feel like they literally had a bed ready for Vietnam to take a nap. Like, rest up, baby, okay? Because you're going to need all that energy for the Q&A because you're a top 6 girl. Like, I don't know what that was about. I was literally like, oh my gosh. Let's go into who the actual top 6 ended up being. So the actual top 6 ended up being Vietnam. I mean, do we need to talk about it? You guys can talk about it in the comments. Then it ended up being Malaysia. Okay, I didn't have her, but I was okay with her. I was like, okay, fine. That's acceptable. Colombia, of course, she had to be there. Australia, I can see the argument being made for why she ended up placing. Mexico, okay, I wasn't upset with that. I think she did well enough. At this point, I'm nervous. It was a toss-up between India and Namibia. But then they gave India the Best in Evening Gown award. And I thought, wow, how incredible. This is great for India. Now, I wasn't sure, is this based off the preliminaries? But I'm thinking it's based off of the finale. They announced India was Best in Evening Gown, and I'm like, okay, great. This is great for India. She's gonna make it. She's gonna make it. If not her, give it to Namibia. I'll be fine with that too. Or give it to Ecuador. Give it to Ecuador. I think Ecuador, I ranked her higher than Australia. I did rank her higher than Australia, and I ranked her higher than Vietnam because Vietnam didn't even perform. But anyways, so I was like, okay, I think Ecuador, India, or Namibia. One of those 3. Fine. Ecuador, India, or Namibia. Any of those 3 I'll be okay with. If it's not India, give it to Namibia or give it to Ecuador. That was what makes sense. Okay, so I'm thinking about Best in Evening Gown, right? India wants Best in Evening Gown. So there's no way that she's not going to place. That's what I'm thinking. And I'm okay if she doesn't, as long as it's Namibia or Ecuador. Okay? Anyone else, I would have been like, what are you talking about? The announcer goes,
And for our last spot, for our last position, we have none other than
yes, 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 yes. Indonesia. Oh. Now you guys know me. I like to keep it mindful. I like to keep it classy. So this is nothing against Miss Indonesia herself. Miss Charm. Miss Charm. Do you guys smell that? Like, what is going on? I'm so confused how this beautiful lady, you know, she's beautiful, has made it this far. I can't, first of all, the Vietnam thing was already just ridiculous and wild. It made no sense to me. And then you're going to call Indonesia over Namibia, Ecuador, and India. Comes Q&A, and I'm ready. I'm like, all right, I'm ready. Like, Vietnam better kill this. Otherwise, I'm going to be so upset if she's not a good speaker and she somehow finagled her way into the top 6 without having to work for it. Miss Charm, if you wanted her to place, or if you already knew the results and knew she was going to be top 6, you might as well just give her top 10, because now there are what, 5 other girls who are confused, wondering, why did I come up in here, put this dress on, give a performance, give it my all, just to be replaced by someone who wasn't even in the top 10. You guys should have put her in the top 10. It makes absolutely no sense. Come on, hello. Are we thinking here? Suddenly, coincidentally, somehow, they go on for the Q&A, and Vietnam goes up first, and they give her a question, and they ask her, English or your native language? And she says English, and I'm like, oh, okay. And she delivers, who knows what the hell she delivers, because it went to a countdown clock. I mean, honestly, you guys, that probably had to have been one of the best answers I've heard in my life. I was like, wow, that was incredible. It was so good. It was so good. In fact, they didn't even let us hear it because they gave us a countdown clock instead. That's how good Miss Vietnam's answer was so powerful that they knew they cannot let us audience members, we can't hear it. If we hear it, it's just going to be too good for us. So instead, they gave a countdown. And I thought, you know what? Technical difficulties happen. Maybe it's a fluke. But man, if it was already looking bad for Vietnam, if it already was looking like this is rigged for Vietnam, it was looking even worse, because why are you covering up? Why are we not able to access her question and answer? I'm thinking, okay, this is funky. And then I realized, no, they just don't know what they're doing at all, because they did it to Malaysia too. We have no idea what Malaysia said. Maybe it was good. Maybe it was great. Maybe it was the best answer in all time. Maybe we've never heard an answer like that. And though we will not know. The point was to know in that moment. So, okay. I'm sorry, Miss Charm, do you not have someone on production who's actively watching the live stream to make sure that everything is good and going to plan and going accordingly? That should have been like noted and noticed immediately. The thing is, at this point, I couldn't give you a top 3. At this point, I said 2 out of the 6 are already like MIA. I have no idea what they said, so I don't know who my top 3 is. Then comes on, I think, Colombia. They did not ask Colombia that. They did not ask Colombia, do you want to speak in English or Spanish, which is her native language? They didn't. They just said, go ahead and answer. So she probably just thought, okay, well, I'm just going to answer in Spanish then, because that's what I'm comfortable with, and no one ever asked. And I understand maybe some people can make an argument that the queen should ask for a translator. The translator should be on deck and ready. And yes, the host should ask, do you want to speak English or do you want to speak your native language as well? These queens are already nervous. There's a lot going on. They're in the top 6 is Q&A. That's a lot going on probably in their mind. So maybe those little things for the queens are harder to remember than the host. At minimum, the host should know to ask each lady that question. And then they couldn't find a damn translator. And then Miss Charm 2023, like the queen she is, comes out of nowhere and she's like, I'll translate. Excuse.
Every time when I'm being discreet, I gotta be out here just waiting, yeah, because I do know. And God is the only one that got all the power, yeah.
It's not the point, okay? Lovely lady, lovely queen for doing that from Miss Colombia and literally saving her Q&A, because she quite literally just did that by translating for everybody what Miss Colombia said. But the time in between them looking for a translator, like a bunch of don't know what the hell they're doing, right? And the time, but between that time and the time that Miss Charm 2023 translated, who even knows if the judges retained the question? I'm guessing they hopefully have a copy of the question with them. But by the time she translated it, I didn't even remember what the heck they asked Colombia. I was like, okay. And I was wondering, how did Brazil remember? I'm sorry, Miss Charm 2023. How did she even memorize all the components of what Colombia said? Do they have a manuscript or something that they're given, like an electronic one that tells them what the contestant just said? I was utterly confused, and I was like, is this even accurate? I mean, I remember hearing it, and I'm proficient in Spanish. I'm not fluent, and I thought, okay, I think it was good. But who knows? And I didn't know relative to Vietnam and Malaysia how it stood up, because we never got to hear them. Australia. Australia killed it. It was good. I wasn't surprised. I mean, she's Australian, native English speaker. I was like, okay, probably will do well. Not always. Being an English speaker does not mean you do well. People get that confused. Just because you speak English doesn't mean you speak intelligently. Australia spoke intelligently though, so I was like, okay, she could go on. Mexico, it was really well said, but I don't think she answered the question. Like what she said was good, but I feel like she didn't answer the question. Indonesia, I was like, girl,
What? Child. Anyway, so
get her out of the top. No, if she moved on to the top three, I was like, yeah, okay, so it's gonna be an issue. Then they move on to the top three. I didn't have a prediction for the top three because how can I have a prediction when two of the six ladies, I don't even know what the heck they just said. So it ended up being somehow the two ladies who we don't even know what they said, Vietnam and Malaysia. Huh, interesting. And then Australia. At this point, I was like, if we're looking at overall performance, at this point, I was like, they cannot give it to Vietnam. That's all I knew. I don't care what Vietnam said, okay?
You should not be here.
Your tone seems very pointed right now.
So they all got the same question with their headphones, whatever. Apparently it blocks the music. Who knows? Are the apparently it's like noise canceling or they're playing music in it. I don't really know, whatever. And so I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. I don't even care at this point. At this point, I'm already upset. Like even if Vietnam doesn't win, I'm already upset because why is she allowed to be in the top three?
All of you guys think that I'm like nothing.
I would never say that. Her interview was her look was
And so I was like, whatever. They go onto the Q&A, and I'm not gonna lie, Vietnam killed that. She killed that very well. Very well. It almost felt like it was an answer she had in her back pocket, maybe. I don't know. I will say this much. Vietnam did the best out of the three ladies. I will say that. Out of the three ladies, she spoke. I was honestly shocked. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, they definitely like bolted her into the top six because she can speak. That's why they were like, no, she can speak. Put her back in the top six right now. And they did. They did just that. And I was like, oh gosh. But I didn't care. I was like, I don't care if she has the best answer because she shouldn't be here at all to begin with. So therefore, she should not win. To me, if she won, it would be an injustice, to be quite frank with you. It already was an injustice. Her being in the top six was an injustice. And it's, again, not about her. It's not about her personally, right? She's a beautiful lady. She's intelligent, I'm sure. Your time here is done. You
cut the cameras. Dead ass.
You cannot move forward. You cannot win this competition. If you do, I don't even know for Miss Charm. I mean, it was only their second edition. And I'm like, this is what you're going to do? Seriously? Horrible. So from there, they ended up giving second runner up to Vietnam. Thank God. I was like, thank God. And then between the two, Australia and Malaysia, I had a feeling they're going to pick Malaysia only because I think her aura and her beauty is maybe a little bit stronger, perhaps. And so I felt like based off of the last year's winner, or the reigning queen of Miss Charm, I felt like Malaysia aligned a little bit more with the aesthetics of Miss Charm than Miss Australia did. But I wouldn't have been upset either way. I think Australia did a phenomenal job throughout the show. So I was like, okay, if Australia wins, I'm okay with that. If Malaysia wins, I'm also okay with that. I think Australia was a little bit stronger overall, but I think Malaysia was also really good. So it really was just a judge's preference. All I knew is it better not be Vietnam, and it wasn't. They ended up picking Malaysia as the winner. Congratulations. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Malaysian girl. She is, ethnically Indian. So India, celebrate your pseudo win, I guess. The Filipinos got Albany. We got Miss Malaysia over here. So yeah, that's what happened. Overall, the show was a mess. I don't know if next year I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. to get ready for my live stream. To be honest, for this, I don't know. Maybe I will, but I'm just going to do it for like giggles. Because Miss Charm, your credibility is just down the tank to me. It was honestly such a dishonor to watch this show. The placements and the judging were just really questionable. I mean, overall, I will say it was okay, but it wasn't that there was like 20 girls who made it in that didn't make sense, right? That's not my point. The point is the one or two girls that you did keep shoveling through just absolutely made no sense to me. And I was like, where do we get this from? So overall, I did not enjoy the show. Overall, I was like, oh my gosh, I thought it was actually going to be promising based on the top 20. When the top 10 came through, I was like, something's a little bit weird, especially when they left out Puerto Rico. I mean, come on, she was really great. So I was like, something's really weird. And then they went on to the top 6. Evening gown, best in evening gown was India, but she's not making the top 6. So that was confusing to me. And to not put Ecuador or Namibia or India in the top 6, at least one of those 3 ladies, to me is an injustice, especially when you picked Vietnam instead of one of those 3 ladies who actually performed in the top 10. So again, guys, don't send hate to any of these ladies. It's none of their faults, okay?
Her interview was her look was
or well, I mean, I don't know, but just don't send hate to the ladies. It's over with. The pageant's done. It's Miss Charm. Respectfully, I don't even know what Miss Charm did with their last reigning title holder for the entire almost 2 years that they had her as their queen. I don't even know if she was staying in Vietnam or she left back to Brazil. I have no idea. So I would not sweat this pageant that much. It's not looking like a promising future as of right now, and if Miss Charm wants to change that, they're gonna have to change a lot of things. And I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching my video. Maraming salamat po. Tanwad and yavad shukriya. Terima kasih, kampung ka, shesheni, arigato gozaimasu, muchas gracias. And all right, and also my Miss Universe Venezuela video is coming out soon, and I'm going to be doing a India wish list, and I'm also going to do a Philippines wish list, like a formal video soon, so be on the lookout for that. If you guys have any other videos that you guys want me to do, let me know, and I will make sure to get those out. Check out my vlog channel, Vijay's Vlogs. I'll link in the description box as well as in the pinned comment section. Hit me up on Instagram if you guys want to talk a little bit more. Remember that I'm in a different time zone, so I may literally be asleep while you're messaging me, so if I don't respond, don't take it offensively. And if I don't respond and you're flirting with me, that's why I'm not responding, because I'm trying to keep it as professional as possible, you guys. So yes, my email's also there, so if you have any inquiries, you can DM me on Instagram or send me an email and I will get back to you. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye, Reynas.